Fall cleanup has definitely started in the backyard. What used to be our vegetable garden, we had some lettuce and some beans. They've already been taken out a couple weeks back. We still got some tomatoes hanging in there. We're gonna have a hard freeze probably tonight for the first time, first weekend in October, and these are gonna end up going by the wayside. I'm no longer going to cover them up because we've gotten tons of tomatoes and the season is just wrapping up. So these will all come out. We got some rhubarb in the back that we'll clean up. And my vegetable garden will become one of my outdoor bonsai storage areas. And the reason why I put them in here is because we have the netting up, the fencing up so the rabbits don't get in. So large population of rabbits this year. Huge rabbits all over the place, and so they're going to wreak havoc on anything that's above the snow line when the snow starts to fall, and they'll start chewing away. So I'm going to organize all my trees in here. Now, just the trees in here would be okay, but I'm kind of exposed in my yard, being it's on the east side, that I might get some northwest winds. I have a nice bank of lilac bushes back there that protects a lot of the wind. But I'm also going to create a barrier right here. So every year I put a barrier of my leaves that I rake up. The leaves haven't fallen off the trees yet, but they've fallen off enough where if I cut the front yard, I'm going to have a whole bunch of leaves that'll be sucked up into the lawnmower bag, and we'll be able to put a couple of bags here to get going. And as fall continues to progress, I'll get more and more bags here and I'll stack them up, and that'll provide a little bit of a wind barrier to keep the trees in here protected. One of the things that happens in the wintertime, if it gets too much sun and too much wind, and it's so dry in the winter that your trees still run the risk of drying out and you get a lot of damage and dieback on your bonsai in the spring. So we want to protect them from the wind, and we want to protect them a little bit from the sun. Now, the south is from over here, and there's a couple, our house is in the way, the neighbor's house is in the way, there's trees in the way. It's not a lot of intense sun, but I could also put up a little barrier over here. But we're going to worry about the sun block right now. So we're going to get going on that today. So that means we got to cut some grass. I got to collect all those clippings, put them in a bag, and start the process of protecting the trees that will be in here. Hey everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. In the sense that I have a branch that splits into two shoots in here. So I'm probably going to cut this thing off right about here this fall. I've taken my knob cutter and I've gotten rid of some of that. So I just put them on the bottom, growing upwards into the bag. We fill it up with trees, and then we water as we need to. We try to get rid of those air pockets. The front yard is all cut. Got some leaves in bags and ready to bring a couple up here to the vegetable garden. I picked up a couple of larches late in the fall at my favorite nursery, Gerton's, and a whole bunch of these, and I think they were, $12 trees. These trees, especially this big one back here, these trees normally would be $30 minimum for a tree, so under half price for all these larches. Starting to lose their needles early in the nursery pots. They actually put a sign on these guys that said, "I'm going to turn golden yellow. Stop. Do not throw me away. I will lose my leaves and they will come back." For those who don't have an American larch, the larches will lose their green pine-looking tree needles that are super soft, beautiful color, and then they come back in the spring. I love when they bud in the spring. So I've got some larch, tamaracks as we call them in Minnesota. A lot of people know them as the larch. So the tamarack I moved out of the way. So I have the place open now for my bags of leaves, okay? Now, the important thing to remember if you're doing something like this is if you just put these yard waste bags on the ground, and we've got several weeks of fall yet, and sometimes in Minnesota, believe it or not, we might not get snow until late, or it might not be cold with inches of snow till well in December, if not even later. I can't count on my two hands how many times we've gone to get Christmas trees with the kids over the last 20 years where it's been a brown Christmas. It does happen more often. I think people refer to that sometimes as global warming, but we won't go there. Climate change. Okay, this is a bonsai channel. Here we go. So, needless to say, this is going to get wet. So, I'm not only going to put a tarp here to protect from the water, but I'm also going to raise it off the ground a little bit because the water is just going to seep to the lowest point. Freeze thaw cycle is going to be here for the next couple of months for sure, and so we want to protect this. So I've got some leftover wood in the garage as I always do, so I'm going to put some down here, make some portable little benches for the bags of leaves to stand on, and that's going to be wrapped in a tarp. Let's get the wood and put them in place. We had a garage sale early this year, so I took some 2x4s that I had in the garage and I just put them up into the stud walls, put a little hole in there, and we put a little PVC piping through there, and we had instant clothes rack. So we're not having a garage sale for a while, so I'm able to use these for some possible shelf holders for the bonsai trees. All right, so that's a 2x4, so that's just going to be 4 inches off the ground. And I got these extra boards because we created, I don't remember, we created something in the last year where we had to shave off about 4 or 5 inches of these boards. So I'm going to put these right up against this fence, and we're going to put these right here. And then now the bags can sit right up here about 4 to 6 inches off the ground, 4 to 5 inches with this board right here. So I'm going to get my tarp, I'm going to lay that on here, and we'll get the bags, and we're almost done. So unless you have really jumbo tarps, which of course I could go buy, I have a couple of smaller ones. I'm going to put these in sections. So I'm going to have a section here and a section there. That way I have some coverage on the back side here in case the wind's going to whip in this way with the rain more than the snow. And remember, these bags are going to get probably wet a little bit anyway, but we want to protect them as much as possible. On that note, make sure if you're using your yard waste bags, you don't fill them all the way to the top. You want to leave a good several inches so you can roll up that bag a little bit, and then that might have to fit into another bag come spring, so you can actually put it in your yard waste pickup area and it won't break apart and spill all over them and they get mad at you. So we have it in place. This side the water can run down, or I'll tuck it up over here and wrap it with some bungees. We'll figure that out. But the back side is what's going to come over the top and then lay over the top from that side. Again, it's going to protect the wind from the west. Let's go grab some bags and put them in place. So the bags are all approximately the same height. Kind of fill them up that way to make it that way. And everything looks like it's pretty good, but when I was putting them on there, I noticed how wobbly the wood might be. And we might get some collapse with the underneath, and I might do that. So I'm gonna get some screws and make sure we can make this secure. There we go. I left some left over so I can maybe bring it up, bring the top one over and bungee it. And there we have it. Let's take a peek from out in the yard. The bags standing up are plenty of height probably for the year. I still may have one that's laying sideways and get this thing up here. Provide even more protection from the westerly winds. And again, my lilacs and the yard were kind of sunk down. It's not a terribly windy place, but I may do that. For right now, they're protected from the rain. I got the brown side out instead of the gray, so it looks a little bit more attractive in the yard. Not this gray thing sticking out in the middle of the garden here. And we'll just make sure this is all tucked in so the rain when it comes, because it's going to rain way more than it snows in the next couple of weeks until we have more bags. And then we'll do part 2 over here. So I've got the backyard to cut. I'll tuck these in, and then we might have to wait for a little while. So taking a look from inside the garden, I'm able to just tuck the tarp a little bit underneath the wood. I can put some rocks in here to keep the wind from flapping it around, or wrap a bungee around or some rope. For right now, I'll use some rocks in the yard until we finish putting more of the potential bags on top, do the left side, and then finish it all up. So I'm going to finish putting together the left side, and then I've got some more mowing to do to get some more leaves that are sitting in the backyard. That's about all we can do today. The yard has been raked up and it's looking pretty good. And I have got this protected from the rain for now. And we'll put this in the garage temporarily until I get another tarp out here. And then we have to wait. So the trees, we've got highs in the 60s and even 70s for the next week or two. So the trees are going to stay on the benches. And in a couple of weeks, probably before Halloween, we'll probably get all our trees in here, and we'll do part 2 of this video where I'll put them all in here. So for now, we got a good day's work. The yard has been mowed. We got all the recycled leaves that's going to protect with the wind barrier all the trees that will go in here. Hey everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. In the sense that I have a branch that splits into 2 shoots in here, so I'm probably going to cut this thing off right about here this fall. I've taken my knob cutter and I've gotten rid of some of that. So I just put them on the bottom, growing upwards into the bag. We fill it up with trees and then we water as we